Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Suzannah, and welcome to the Kodeco podcast. In this podcast, we'll keep you up to date with the latest app development tech talk. Now, here's the show.
This is the Kodeco podcast. Welcome to episode 0 for season 2. Yes, we count like engineers because we are engineers. This episode is sponsored by nobody because it's episode 0, Meet the Hosts. I am your host, Drew Freeman, along with two co-hosts, Suzannah Gupta and Jenn Bailey.
Yay, thanks, Drew. This episode will explore what you can expect from the second season of the Kodeco podcast and catch you up on what's happened since we last talked.
So you may notice that I said we have two co-hosts, and that is because we brought Jenn Bailey back. We found out that we were leaning a little too heavily in the world of iOS the past season or 3, and we missed having Android and Flutter and Kotlin and every other language that Jenn knows. And Jenn is going to be here to help me with my lack of that knowledge on a lot of the fun episodes. Jenn, say hello again and tell us some of what we can expect.
Hello, I'm excited to be back. So we will cover some of the latest on Android and Flutter, and Android 14, of course, will be coming out soon, and all the new development features and things that on the Google side, probably some machine learning and some talk about AI. And then very soon, an episode coming up about Unity Godot.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one, especially with everybody going Unity. But it's good to be back with everybody. It's good, as you're all aware, to be healthy again and to be able to start the season off with a bang. I really have to credit everybody who rallied together and helped keep the season going when I was unable to. Let's start with you, Jenn. What have you been up to in the past 6 months, year, and such?
Oh, wow. It was a busy year. So towards the spring, we finished our Hacking Your Job Search book, which was really awesome. I got to author that with Tim Condon, and that was a really fun project. And so after we released that, Tim and I got to do a podcast on women who code. And I got to deliver that from the Google I/O in Mountain View, California, from my hotel room.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that was really cool. So the spring I got to go to Google I/O, which was in, of course, Mountain View, California. And then a week later, they took us to their I/O summit, extended summit, and the North American one was in Miami. So that was really awesome. And that's what I've been up to. And now I'm currently teaching a semester. So I'm teaching my programming classes, and I'm working on a video course for saving data in Android. And I just did an article on object-oriented programming in Kotlin. So it's a busy year, really busy year.
Oh, that all sounds delicious. I have to catch up with what you're filming and writing. The video course is for us here at Kodeco, or is it through through Ames? Okay.
Yes, it'll be an update to our saving data in Android, and we'll update it with the latest Kotlin and features.
Sounds great. Sounds really useful.
I may take another dive onto Android at some point if I can ever understand the concept that is Gradle.
Oh, yeah, that's a good topic to explore. So there will probably be some courses and videos about that in our Android curriculum.
That's awesome. So, Suze, what have you been up to in the past year?
Well, I realized listening to Jenn, okay, so I also worked on that book. I was final pass editor on that book. So, which is just our Kodeco speak for like being the project manager and doing a bunch of editing and getting to talk with the team. So that's a great book, Hack Your Job Search. Look for it if you haven't already looked for it. And that was one of 2 books I did with Kodeco this past year. So the other book I did, which was huge and fun, was the Swift UI Cookbook. And that's a book that we did use some AI tools to help write. And you'd think, well, can you just then say to ChatGPT, write me a book about X? And I guess you can, right? But then you come out with kind of a crappy book. So I worked with a gentleman, Richard Ash, who had been part of our Swift algorithms. He was a contributor to that repository back in the day, really sharp programmer. And we went through and added real examples and tested everything and screen caps and everything to make something good Kodeco stuff. But that's a free and huge volume that is now available on our website. So that was a lot of fun. So this past year, well, we went together to Deep Dish Swift, and I was one of the organizers of it. That was a mixed experience given through Souvenir, but the conference itself was amazing, and I will be back at that. Josh hasn't announced the dates yet for when it is, but I would expect late April, early May in Chicago this coming year. So I'll be there because I'm from Chicago and I love that conference. I'm actually a grandmother now, but you know what? That's the biggest thing that happened in my
Oh
life.
my
And
goodness.
so
Congratulations. And I would never
Thank
guess
you.
in a million years because you do not look cookie lady age yet at all.
Well, I've been cookie lady for a while. I don't think it's an age related thing. I think it's a love of cookies related thing. But thank you, and I highly recommend it. It is
I
very
thought
heartening.
I thought cookies were being associated with like grandmas because my great grandma used to make all the cookies for Halloween.
Oh, I love it.
I was immediately thinking of my great grandmother's really good Halloween treats.
Oh no,
she made caramel corn and all sorts of stuff.
No,
I
was
love
going to say
caramel
that.
corn.
I was going to say, Suze doesn't just make cookies, because I actually got a care package this year from Suze where she had baked me challah, and it was challah buns, and they were so good. Oh my God,
They
great.
were okay. So I have to say this in case we have somebody out there who is following mostly for the mobile dev, but also to see what we say about baking, that those were sheminis, those were figure 8 challah rolls, which is like I was working on that. Okay. So you got a later rendition. There were earlier versions of that. That's like, what is this? A dinosaur? What happened with this one? But you got a good set of them.
I in the past year went to Deep Dish and got some of the worst swag you could ever get at a conference. And that was the really bad COVID that took me down for 2 months. But the support of the community was just magnificent. The support of my loved ones around me was absolutely stunning. And once I turned the corner, I turned it hard and fast and got very healthy very fast.
Thank God.
They were very surprised at how quickly I rebounded once I was off the ventilator. Such fun stuff. In the past year, I've been working for Disney. I actually just had my first anniversary with them on Tuesday of this week.
Oh, wow. It's been a year.
Yes, it has. Well, I suppose 9.5 months. I wasn't there for 2 months, so.
Hey, so do you have a year pin?
Yes, I do. I'm not wearing it at the moment, but I have a little pin that they give people who've worked for the company for a year.
Right.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I love the company. That's my opinions. I don't know if I'm going to make Deep Dish this year. I'd like to make it, but I'm also planning 2 international vacations that are going to take up a lot of my time.
Ooh, okay. Are either of those, are those vacations, meaning it doesn't involve programming, or is it like vacation plus a conference?
They are both vacations. I am taking my girlfriend to Japan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then later in the year, and I have to make sure that I can't be heard, I'm taking my family to Denmark so that my son can have his bucket list and go to the Lego plant.
Oh, that's so neat.
I love this. Also, please take like 1,000 photos at least at each, because
Oh, yes.
I have been to Denmark, but I didn't go to the Lego factory. What is wrong with me? And so I did Denmark wrong, need to redo. And I've never been to Japan. So
yeah, I decided that my passport is greatly lacking in marks on the pages. And I wanted to take care of that. So I decided I was going to do Disney World this past year, which I did twice, and then I'm going to do international next year.
I think that sounds wonderful. I'm very
Wonderful.
aware in these times that are internationally just incredibly stressful, like do the good things, go and do the fun things. And if you're sitting and thinking like, oh, wow, well, when I'm older or one of these days, okay, do it. Get on the schedule, book the plane ticket, do it. So,
Well,
I've
I
been
mean,
doing that as well. I'm going to see my best friend next week. Because while you can, you should.
yay. Is it? Yeah, I know you'd share that you're going to be like not available. So where does your best friend live?
Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh,
So
that's a
I'll be
really
visiting
pretty
her.
area.
Yeah, we're gonna go to another friend's wedding, and it'll be great.
are you
Oh,
flying
and
or
you're going to see some.
driving?
Flying.
That would be a long schlep to drive. I mean, you could, but it'd be long.
It's
Oh,
yeah,
Chicago to
probably too
Kentucky's not that.
long.
Oh wait, you're in Chicago. You're Denver.
Yeah,
She's
I'm in
Denver.
Denver, so I'm not
Or
much of a driver, so I'll fly.
yeah. And you should get gorgeous fall colors. Lexington's so pretty.
That's
So
a good idea. I have a very pretty fall color green dress with leaves on it, so I was gonna bring that.
oh, this is gonna be lovely.
It's wonderful.
Right on, you guys.
So yeah, so we are going to be going with two hosts this season. We may have two co-hosts this season. We may have all three of us here, and maybe just two of us. But this allows us to spread the technology knowledge a lot better, and make sure that we are covering as much because we really miss getting down and dirty in some of the tech.
So when we looked at our analytics, because we have some of those and we do that sometimes, something that we saw is you guys out there listening and sometimes viewing seem to get more excited when we really dig deep into a tech topic. And that doesn't mean that the season is going to be devoid of things related to your career, whether it's launching your career as a mobile dev or going from junior to senior as a dev. But it's going to be, we're striving for some more really get your hands dirty tech topics. And Jenn can definitely hold up Android and Flutter and, and Drew can hold up iOS. And I'm here because I just love to talk with people. So,
Oh, see, what Susan's not saying is that she's actually been studying coding for the past several months now.
guys, it's more like years. But you know what? I feel
Years.
okay saying that because one of the things that Jenn said to me, I don't think it was in this forum, but maybe on a book team meeting, but maybe it was this forum, is that, you've made a career of being a professional student in that you learn, you teach, and you just keep learning. And, I thought, I'm cool with that.
Absolutely.
For a long time, I used to think, oh, the fact that my background is in journalism and being a tech writer, that's kind of not as cool as being a dev. But it all fits together in some pretty cool ways. So I can be
It's
at peace
all
with it.
problem solving too. So being a teacher is as challenging as being a coder. So teaching code, it leverages some of the same skills because I need to take a look at what's modern architecture, a modern piece of code. And now how do we break that down for someone who's never seen it before and who doesn't know the vocabulary or the concepts, and teaching and writing about code helps me learn it way more in depth, because when I was a coder, it was just get it working as quickly as possible. And of course, we wanted to do it good, but I didn't really analyze it the way I do, and ask questions why, or ask how to understand a specific piece. Once it worked and was in place, I could move on from there. So teaching forces me, and students will ask me questions. People who've never been exposed to technology will ask questions that I would never think of. And it forces me to learn things that I would never encounter.
I understand
Well,
that
and I would
concept
think,
of rip it apart and put it back together again as fast as you can. I'm trying to settle. I'm trying to set my personal app for a release by the end of the year, and I've got so much of it, and I've got so much more to do on it that I have like 5 weekends, 6 weekends, I think is what I have left from this year before I have to get this thing out.
oh my gosh, are we that close? I think we are.
This year
Uh,
has flown by. I have
That's
never
crazy, you guys.
experienced a time flying as much as this year. It seems like it just zipped.
yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
the
We're
year
almost
ends
in
on a
November.
weekend, but I have to have it in the App Store before then, so 7 weekends. And we're
Well,
recording
that's
this weekend,
exciting.
so
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna be keeping these recordings going as quickly as we can, so that we can have a nice full season for you, take you through the holidays, and take you right up to the big cons in the spring.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So there's some stuff, Drew, that I have to ask you about that you had mentioned because I went back and listened to what we said this time last year. Okay.
Uh-oh,
And obviously, we don't need to talk about rebranding because you guys all have that now, right? It's Kodeco. We
we
can
got
move
it.
on
Yeah.
from that. But you were talking about, so all three of us are parents of, but Drew's got a younger kiddo, not really little, but like still gets to live with his kiddo at home. And your son was learning programming and the other thing your son was learning at the time, which I think is far more frightening as a parent than helping your child with programming, is learning to drive an automobile. So
Uh-huh.
where are we at a year later?
He is really kind of reluctant to drive. He now my son's on the autism spectrum, so there are certain allowances that have to be made. But in general, he's got a little anxiety about driving, and it makes sense because his mom was in a very bad accident when he was too young to remember, and he's grown up with her always being in pain
Oh,
as a chronic pain sufferer. So, he's got reluctance and other issues that we have to deal with, but I don't really have any problem with the idea of him driving. I think he'll be a very careful driver once he motivates in that direction.
yeah, careful's really good. And I do think like for a lot of the generation, younger than us, kids are not so keen to drive, and if you live in an area where you can get away with not, people get away with not. And,
My daughter waited an extra year and I needed to get my license as early as possible. So I got mine as young as they'll allow. And I got my permit early for having good grades, but it scared me. And I really, if I didn't have a job I had to go to, I would have waited extra time too. But my daughter waited a year. And you're brave, Drew. When my daughter was learning to drive, I was so nervous of thinking about her out on the road, even though she's very responsible. And I would get scared. I hated riding in the passenger seat. I'm one of those, you know, claw at the window and brace myself against the dash. And she's like, stop it. So I'd have to close my eyes when she was learning to drive. That was
My
hard for
best
me.
my best friend in high school taught me the phrase phantom brake syndrome,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
which is that dance you do in the passenger seat, pawing away at a brake pedal that's not there because the other person's not braking fast enough for you.
Yeah.
Uh,
That was totally me. I had phantom brake syndrome. Oh.
But yeah,
so what
he's
about programming? Is he still into dev?
right now he is right now he is very much still into Minecraft and what's the name of the other one that I cannot remember. It's not so much a building game. I'm blocking the name. I'll find out because he'll tell me repeatedly. But at this point, he's just studying and playing. He is 17.
Oh, sounds
Wow.
great.
Took him to Disney
Mine
World, and all he
just,
really wanted to do was stay in the room and play on his video games.
oh
It,
no.
traveling with teenagers, right? It's kind of its own thing, you know?
I took my
I,
daughter to Seattle and she wanted to go get her hair done for upcoming prom.
I just got a message on the screen that said, "Dude, it's Terraria."
you if it was
So
that.
apparently he
Okay,
can.
'cause
Apparently they can hear me back there. And
I thought I heard him yelling that, and I was like, "Is it Terraria?"
well, now I know what I have to edit out for the episode.
And there was a game that I think heading into Deep Dish that you were playing, and maybe he was too, that you were finding really compelling. Are you still playing that?
Factorio?
Yeah.
No, I fell off Factorio while I was in the hospital, and I just haven't gone back since. Factorio is one of those rabbit hole games that you just start and the addiction is very, very hard because it's like a Sim City,
Hmm.
but you're building a factory and you have to figure out how to get your minerals from one place to another. You have to figure out how to get these things to combine to make other things. You get
Oh,
copper so you
yes.
can make springs, and you make springs so you can make electronics, and and it's just like there's no limit to it.
Yeah, those ones can be so compelling. I'll occasionally fall down a rabbit hole and then I'm like, how did I have time for that in my life? Like,
I've fallen down the rabbit hole of the app Fallout Shelter because I can play Fallout Shelter for days. And you've
oh
got the little
dear.
people in the shelter and you build more rooms. And I
I
can
will
also get hooked on The Sims.
I
I
will
have
now be
a
looking this up and then regret it. So
I should avoid Factorio because that's the type of game I
oh
can
yeah,
really get sucked into.
yeah. There are people with T-shirts that say the factory must grow. I can quit anytime. I said that the past 5,000 times. Um, but there's an app I have for my Mac that basically tells me how much percentage time I spend playing games, looking at the web, working on
oh
email,
wow.
working
Okay.
in Xcode. And you can actually go into the app and say, well, this web page or this domain should be filed under working on a project.
Right. What's
So
the
it,
app?
oh, what is the app called?
Yeah, let's put that in
Um,
the show notes because that actually sounds really useful.
yeah,
I
we'll put
We'll
use
it.
one
also,
called Rescue Time that does that. And Rescue Time, I pay for the subscription, but it will keep track. And sometimes I don't like to look at the results, but it will tell you every app on your phone and PC, every app you use. And it does the same thing where you can categorize things as focused work, medium work, or not work.
Yeah,
that sounds
And
really
you can
good.
also block yourself, but my problem is I'll block myself from distractions. And I find I need to take breaks for distractions while I'm working. So
yeah.
I don't like the focus mode.
But yeah, mine's called Timing Tracker. And if you actually look at my computer use, it's been coding or playing poker.
Oh, okay. I forgot that you were into that. Yeah.
Yep, I play poker. I'm actually doing a presentation for some friends in a week or two on poker. What is the history? How does the game work? I'm not teaching
Oh,
any
interesting. Okay.
technique or I'm not teaching any strategy because that there are books and books and books on that. You have the cutest dogs, Jen.
I
I
know.
know.
I was just thinking that. I was like, you guys, we are going to be providing YouTube recordings again this season. And when this recording comes up, I know like this is kind of a puffball episode because it's just meet the host, but you guys, you have to look at the recording because Jen has the sweetest two little dogs.
Come here. Yeah, and one of them is saying hello. This one was barking a
Oh,
little bit. And I'll pull her
oh,
bangs
you're
back so you can see
so
her pretty eyes.
precious. Goodness.
This is Penny. I named her after Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
Oh, she's just perfect. Look at her. What a love.
She's been the most wonderful little friend. She's a very, very good dog.
She looks like she knows that. Drew, I'm not seeing any cats by you. Are they locked out in some other part of the house?
no,
I do see the tigers.
The door's surprisingly open wide as I keep getting commentary from my son on the show. Um,
So there's something that both Drew and I are doing that we bring very different backgrounds to, but we're both into it right now, which is the Paul Hudson Hacking with Swift UI program. And I've kind of fallen off the horse. I got to like day 48 or something. There's a stopping point. That it's not, there's a pause where the curriculum is different for one day. He's got you watching like videos all day and you don't have to do anything. And I was like, oh, I don't really have to do anything. And I've languished and not done anything for like a month and a half. But now I'm
See,
so
and-
glad you're doing it, Drew, because I'm like, I can't let you lap me. I need to get back into this.
See, that's one of the reasons that Paul says you really should post into social media, because it sort of gives you an audience that says, yep, they're still doing this, they're still sticking at it. When I was
Yeah.
on Duolingo, I was posting on a regular basis. And I languished on that one during the hospital as well. I had a really good role going there too, but it was just like, I can't keep doing it. But yes, 100 Days of Swift UI is Paul's 100-day, I don't want to call it a boot camp because it's 100 Days of Swift UI. It's not really a boot camp because it's really self-paced. It's really just Paul doing some video classes, doing a couple of tests where he'll give you 10 to 12 questions about some of the material you've learned. I'll tell you, his tests were harder at the beginning than they were at the end, because at the beginning of Swift UI's 100 Days, he'll ask you questions like, is this code legit?
Right.
And he'll have just worked on if-thens, but he'll throw in something that's var versus let.
Mhm.
And you won't be looking for that. You'll be looking for the stuff you just covered. And it's like, well, I've got 8 out of 12. That's a failing grade. So I went back and retook those. But now, once you get past that and you're on to the working on a project every day or two.
Well, and then I think what makes this so substantive is there are these milestone projects in it where the milestone projects are, you can really do quite a bit with them. And then, but I find that mentally difficult too, because I can see, because in my day job, I work as a product manager, I can see what one could do, but I'm not the one who can do it at this point, like I could see what it could be, but how do I get there from here? So, and then I get frustrated with where I am.
How long does it take you to do a daily session of that? I draw from that course a lot when I teach iOS, because he's got I love some of the information he's got in there.
Yeah. And I have more to say about how much I love that and why, but so I think he wants you to spend like about an hour, and I think it does take me that. Like I'm very slow going through videos because I want to squeeze every last drop of knowledge out of the video. So like I'll watch the video and I write notes on my iPad and I'm like, how did I ever make it through university? Like I'm so slow, but
You're a deep learner. That's not always a bad thing, though. That means you're, rather than learning at the surface just to get it done by the deadline, you're taking it apart and looking at every little detail.
And from my point
thank
of
you
view,
for that positive pedagogical spin there.
From my point of view, I know a good bit of the material that's being presented, at least so far, but every now and then there'll be a little nugget or a little pearl that I didn't know. And it's like that just gets added to my tool belt.
Something I love in the instructional design of this, just because I think it's fun and because I also have taught and written course materials, is he will include in like pretty much every lesson a quote that is motivational, but then the person the quote is from is somebody that you probably should know about if you're interested in computing. And, if you're doing this on a Mac, I can't speak to the other tech stack, which is precisely why Jenn is here. You can like click on that and then it'll come up in Safari like a little page about the person. And there's all sorts of neat people that you can learn about. So
That's really cool.
yeah,
I
it's
also
like
like
it's
that
just
he.
it's deeply woven,
I also like the fact that he keeps his verbal script on the page with a video, in case you're
I like
not,
that too.
unless you're not visually stimulated as well as you are with the written word.
Yeah, and
I
also when
prefer
you're going
videos.
back over it, which I don't know, you may never hit this point because you're you're a very experienced developer. But for me, I am learning some basic computer science concepts in addition to, and how do you actualize these with Swift and Swift UI, right? And the frameworks. So sometimes like I'll be in a project part, like a milestone part, how do I do such and such? And it's much easier to go back and look through the written text and say, oh yeah, here's an example, than to have to seek through the video. So it's nice that he's got those different modalities, which is a good segue into, I know, so one of the things that we're going to be talking about pretty quickly this season is we're going to have some content about Vision OS and developing for Vision OS. And the content is going to be offered in multiple modalities. So there's going to be video, but there's going to be other parts of it. And I'm not part of the content development team for that. We're going to be talking to somebody who is, but I've gotten to work with like one of the masterminds behind it. And I'm just really, who's our director of marketing, I guess now, Sandra Grouchoff. And I'm just really excited to see how Kodeco brings the multiple, multiple ways of learning.
Well, I'm looking forward to this Vision OS one because everybody who has gotten their hands on it has walked away starstruck.
Yes.
There's been no gray, there's been no black or white. It's all white. It just, people are just like, this is the game changer.
I know. I'm so curious. I don't think I'll be an early adopter because being an early adopter, I think is just beyond me price wise, but
you don't want to spend $3,500 for a version 0?
I know, okay. I mean, it did take me how long to get a watch, so we know when I'll have Vision OS. But I'm really excited to hear what everybody says. And
yeah, I just picked up Watch 9.
oh, interesting. Okay, what do you like better about 9 versus what you have before? Did you have like 6?
6. Yeah,
You had 6,
I've been doing 0369.
Okay.
On the watches.
So next one's 12.
Probably. One of the things they added in that I absolutely adore is if you have a default button to be pressed, you can simply do that.
We just got that right in for Series 9 and Ultra in the latest watchOS update.
Actually, it was working in the previous update if you use the accessibility.
Yes, I think my son was saying that. So.
But yeah, and for those of you who are not watching but listening, it's simply a click of the fingers between the thumb and either the index or the middle finger. You click twice with the hand that is wearing the watch, and it will immediately hit the default button. The only problem I have with it is the default button on a phone call is answer this call, and 90% of my calls are spam. So I wish the default button on that would be send to voicemail.
Huh.
That would be great if you could. Yeah, if you could change it, because on my Samsung watch, I would love to get a Pixel watch, but on my Samsung watch, you can customize what the buttons do. I don't know if you could customize that particular behavior, but you can customize a lot.
So I'm curious. I asked everybody this question when I was considering getting an Apple Watch and then finally did, really because of peer pressure. But what do you use your Samsung watch for? Like, what do you find yourself doing with it most often?
Most often it's kind of an extension to my phone. So, and I like having a step counter. So I love having this step
Right.
counter. It detects my workouts seamlessly. So it does a good job knowing when I'm on the elliptical that's behind me or if I'm out
Oh,
for a
that's
walk.
cool.
So it does
Yeah.
now I don't track my workouts at all because it does a pretty good job of just automatically tracking that. And I really like how it can answer a lot of times if my phone's in another room, especially now. I sprained my ankle, so I'm
Oh
holding up
gosh, I
my ankle
saw.
brace.
Yeah. You poor thing.
But yeah, so now, and I live in a tri-level, so to go
Oh,
anywhere,
yeah.
I'm going up and down stairs. So I love that I can answer a call. I have a model that you can answer the call and it's got a little microphone. And I love it. They're great to have driving because it'll put navigation on the little watch for me. And I get to answer a text or change my song. The itinerary for the airport or Uber, I love it for those applications. So I use it quite a bit, and it's mostly because I've left my phone in another room or in a bag. So it's
Yeah.
very nice for that.
I've got to say, and I think I'm not supposed to say this as an Apple fangirl, but it really sounds very similar to the capabilities of and how I use my watch, my Apple Watch.
I think
Well,
Apple Watches can do some fancy things, and I don't explore too many of the fancy features and the gestures and stuff. I learn them when I first buy the watch, but I don't end up using them as much as I think I'm going to. But it is handy. It saves me trips out of the chair or up the stairs a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was very happy when they went to the watch form factor because there were so many things I used my phone for that seemed like it was overkill, like pulling my phone out to look at the time, pulling my
Oh,
phone out
right.
to check if I'd gotten new email. So having a smaller form factor to just have those glances, and I realized that glance was a technology that was on the watch that has been discontinued. Um, but just being able to look at the most minimal information, it does have the is it RFA? So is that the abbreviation I'm looking for? RFA? The
RFID?
RFID. Thank you. It
Oh,
has the
yes.
RFID, so I can use it to open up locks. Uh,
Oh, yeah, that's very cool.
it
That's,
has the Apple.
that's its whole thing that I think we talked about. I don't know if we have this on the schedule, but should like a smart home and home technology, and in the Apple world, that's HomeKit. But yeah, that's neat that if you've got locks that have that you can do that with your watch. That's really cool.
That's another thing I love is with the Google, you've got with the Google watches, you have the Google Assistant built in, and I shouldn't be saying the G word. I have the assistant all over my house. And when I'm in my car, I'm
Oh,
like, okay, G, if I say it, things are going to chime, but okay, G, can you help me find it? It cracks me up because I'm so connected. I'm just used to talking to it all day long. And my
oh,
watch
that's
is the only
fascinating.
assistant I have in the car. But I couldn't get through the day without those because I do have, attention deficit and stuff. And so I set timers, I set alarms. I use those all day long and they're so helpful. And you can play a song. I can play a song in whatever room I want, stop my TV programs. I
Jenn,
use them
if
like
you
crazy.
haven't written about it yet, I would love for you to write about. I would love to see your thoughts on how do you use this technology as somebody who has ADD to be protective, to keep on top of your brain, to do all the many things that you do.
Oh, I could because it has helped me immensely because I can say set an appointment. I can put things on a Google Keep list for shopping. And what's
Mhm.
great is for me, what happens to me is I think of something while I'm doing a task and it's gone before I reach pen and paper, before I can pull out my app that has my to-do list.
Right.
If I use a physical list, I'll lose it. If I lose my phone, by the time I unlock it, the idea is gone. So the fact that I can just yell it out, set an appointment tomorrow for 2 o'clock, and then it's there and I can go edit it if I need to, but it'll put it, I can say it immediately. And that's been life changing. That, and also I don't miss appointments anymore, because I can set an alarm for when I need to leave or when I need to start a meeting. And so, that's really helped me a lot. And I think back to the years when I didn't have that, I'd be juggling day planners and juggling all these to-do list apps and so many
I
ideas
think
and
that's full on
appointments got
brilliant. And I
lost,
think
or things I want to buy. I'm at the store and it's not on my list. It's life changing. It really is.
I've been
I
using-
can't tell you how many times I've gone into the store and I use multiple types of lists. So, but I do use physical lists as well as other lists. And I'll go into the store and how am I doing this? I'll lose the list in the store while I'm shopping. I'll be like partway through shopping, the paper list is gone. I have no idea. So
I do that too.
I have an app that I use called Cozy, Cozi.
I used to use that, yes.
Yeah, Cozy's nice because it allows you to have 6 adults, kids,
Nice.
and you can basically coordinate shopping lists, calendars, etc.
That's
Part of the trick
wonderful.
is finding what fits your family and what you can train your other family members on, because we used to use Cozy and then we actually switched to Google Calendar, and it took, the retraining took a little while, but it's
And that's the tricky part of using it too. I had to take the time to figure out what features would benefit me and then memorize the catchphrase that makes those features work. And I took the time to do that. I actually figured out, how do I set an appointment, and I'll figure that all out and get the words right. And that going through that learning curve was very helpful, and learning that I could set timers and things like that, and stopwatches, and you can label them. So I can set a timer for the different foods that are cooking, and I can have multiple timers all with different names.
and I think I think we're already seeing, is that a HomePod or is that
It's a HomePod.
okay? So
I keep one in
we're
the
going to
office.
see this get easier, because that's part of what the large language model AI stuff is bringing to us, is that so we have actually 2 very old, like original Amazon Echoes, one upstairs, one downstairs. And while the software has improved on those, they're still imperfect, but eventually we're going to get to a point where we're going to say, okay, I want an appointment, or remember this. And I tried that the other day actually with the Amazon Echo, and it actually worked. And I could say, hey, Alexa, I want you to remember this. And I told her something. And then later I said, what was it I want you to remember? And she told it back to me. And it was so helpful.
The Google Assistant will do that too. So if I stash something in a drawer, you can tell it to do that too. Remember that I put this little key in the top drawer in my office, and that sort of thing.
I swear, the day I become very, very famous and they interview me, I'm going to say something to Alexa on TV just to set off everybody's house who's watching.
It's hilarious whenever I give GDG presentations and things, I have to either unplug them or filter my speech, and it happens all the time. Someone will say the G word, and it's not just me, it's my audience members too.
Right,
everybody starts looking behind them, and
and the worst part is
there's talking.
As far as the Apple world is gone, they've changed it from Hey S to just S. So now you can't even talk about what it is without it waking up. So it's that there's got to be a Hey S, stop listening for the next 5 minutes. That would be very helpful.
That would be great. What a great idea for a feature, because if you could just tell it to turn itself off for a while, that would be so helpful.
See, now we're dragging all of our listeners and viewers along just because what they don't understand is this is also how we figure out what we're doing for the rest of the season. And I always
Yes.
do point out that, we post the episodes on the Kodeco podcast area, and every episode there is the email to write us at, which I believe is still podcast@kodeco.com.
I
And
think so too.
if you have ideas, if there's something you'd love to hear us talk about, or something you'd prefer us not to talk about, we probably won't take those into consideration. But if there's a topic that you're interested in, between the three of us, hopefully one of us has got enough acumen to at least be the linchpin to do an episode on it.
Definitely. And with our diverse Kodeco pool of guests too.
So there's always that. I think, yeah, we typically do meet the host as a 20-minute episode. We've already gone close to an hour.
We have fun
So,
doing this, you guys, and I think
we
that may
do.
show with this in however much of this makes it into the audio, into the video, but we enjoy the opportunity to bring you hopefully useful explorations of game dev and mobile dev topics, and we enjoy talking to each other and catching up.
Absolutely.
Come be a guest and we will catch up with you too.
Yeah, and
Very
I'm so
true.
excited to be back. It's so fun to see the both of you.
Yes, I'm
Yay.
so glad you're back.
Which reminds me, what did you do to your ankle?
Oh, it was the silliest thing ever. I just got up out of this chair and I took a step in that direction to leave the room, and my foot was asleep. So I stepped down on the outside of it and I didn't feel it because my foot was asleep and it was numb. So I just stepped down on it crooked and collapsed, like rolled it.
Oy.
And it was Friday the 13th, and I had just made some
Of course
jokes
it
because there
was.
were some superstitious people who were like, be careful, it's Friday the 13th. And I'm like, I'm going to stay at home and work all day. And I hurt myself working at home at my desk, being quiet. And
You could have been out dancing. I mean,
yeah,
it
I
would have been
should have gone
safer.
out and done something fun. Yeah, I thought, Friday the 13th won't get me. I'm just going to stay home and be good and do what I'm supposed to do. And my foot went to sleep and I rolled my ankle.
Oy. You poor thing. How long do you have to be in the boot?
About 5 more weeks, so 6 weeks total, and I've had it on for about a week. But the good news is I was cleared to walk right away, and I can I'm not a person who likes to be immobile, so the fact that I'm allowed to
Right.
walk, and I can walk to work, but I'm not allowed to drive, so
I
that's
was
a
going to
little
ask you about
frustrating.
driving. That's
Yeah, I'm
frustrating.
lucky that I live close to where I work. And I can get around well enough so I can walk to work. But I was going to be really upset if they made me stay on crutches because I'm just not very coordinated on crutches. And
Well, and it's tricky, like if you're heading to work and you've got, your backpack with your laptop and stuff, and then you have to deal with the crutches too. And I feel like as I'm explaining that, I think I've done that, and it's challenging.
no fun. I don't have a ton of upper body strength or coordination, so I was not getting along with the crutches. And my house, like I mentioned, has stairs. So I was like, I would leave the crutches and just crawl up the stairs. And I'm
Maybe
better
5
off
weeks go
crawling
quickly.
with crutches. Yeah, the boot's wonderful. It's like it's got a little air pump on it, and I'm from the 90s, and I was like, I never did get a pair of those Air Jordans, so it's pretty cool on the brace because that's a little air pump. So now I finally have those Air Jordans I couldn't afford when I was in high school.
I feel like you are truly excelling at gratitude.
Thank you. Oh.
We've lost you entirely.
All right then. As I've lost control of everything at this time. We will be coming back after this episode with the regular season. Suze, do you have anything you want to add in about the regular season, or have we covered it all?
I think we've foreshadowed as much as I'm comfortable foreshadowing right now. But we will have interesting topics from all the tech stacks represented here, and AI generally, I don't mean like really broadly, but as it applies to our lives as software developers. And we'll have some game dev stuff coming up actually straight away. We often have a question that we ask each guest that's a puffball question, but and that's a puffball question, but it's not a hard tech question. Okay. And we had a season where we talked about dealing with life in the pandemic. And we had a season, I think we asked everybody last year how they were applying AI to their work. So I'm thinking this year, I want to ask people about how they're finding calm in their lives, in their professional and personal lives, because there's a lot going on in the greater world that, depending on where you live in the world and who you are personally, may affect you to greater or lesser extents, but can definitely disrupt your calm. So how about that, you guys? Like, for each of you, like
Sure.
Drew, how are you calming yourself and centering yourself when there are things in life that are making that challenging?
I'll go. Well, like I said, I've been coding on my app, which I really enjoy doing. Apart from my day job, which I really enjoy, um, and I do take steps away from it. Like I said, I play poker on occasion. Family and my loved ones are all wonderful. Um, and just keeping stress out of my life has been a great way of being calm. Coming out of being ill, you sort of get a new lease on the universe, and one of it is just enjoying as much time as I can.
Right on. Jenn, how about you? How would you answer that if you were a guest on
Um,
the show?
I love that question because I spend all sorts of time. I have an extensive self-help library and spirituality library, and I do a lot of meditation. So I have a spiritual community, and I have friends and family, and a lot of it is an online community too. So I have some wonderful online communities, including Kodeco, because and so now that I'm getting older, I'm wanting to visit people from these online communities, and sometimes
Oh,
work gives me
same.
the opportunity to do that. You're on my list, Suzannah.
Oh, good, good, good.
Because yeah, I would love to come visit you. I'm going to see my best friend in Kentucky, and my members of some of my communities are there, and pretty much anywhere. I've got friends spread all over the world or even the United States, so I'd like to visit them more. And a lot of times prayer and meditation. And one thing I learned this last year was that I'm a highly sensitive person. And so I started learning about energy work and breath work and different forms of meditation and different forms of spirituality and different religions and things like that. And it really helps me. And my plan is really simple. I just do simple breath work, simple meditation. And it's been very life-changing for my physiology and positive
Oh,
thinking
wow.
too. So reframing things into positive thinking, using a lot of gratitude, but not like a cliche, so trying to find things, blessings. And also I'm thankful that I have clubs to run, students to teach, because being in a position where helping others is very helpful to me. So during the pandemic, what kept me calm when it was really scary was our boot camp. I looked forward to our boot
Oh,
camp every week so much to get to see, the other mentors and the students. So staying connected is big, even just online. And the pandemic taught me that.
absolutely. And I find too, as somebody who's been really stressed about a lot of the stuff in the current news cycle, community and being in person with community, just being together really helps. And I agree with online, like just this, just our podcast, not
Mhm.
just, is a community. And it's very important. And Jenn, I love what you said about, because I don't think people always see it from the teacher facilitator role, that like for the teachers too, when you're teaching, it is so sustaining and so meaningful to be able to teach.
Yeah, it gives me a reason to learn because I like to learn for my own journey too, but it gives me motivation that I'm going to need to present this to students. And so I've got a deadline. I've got to learn so that they can get careers or they can get whatever they wanted to learn out of the class. And that's very motivating. It'd be hard to motivate just out of learning on my own interests or for, so when
Yeah.
I've got 10 people depending on me, and some of those folks are excited about it, and that really gives me a reason to get up and do it, even if I'm sick or even if I'm got things going on in my life. I still do it for them.
That's awesome. Okay, Drew, I'm done now.
Well, I can always
I
plug
love your question.
I was
Well-
just going to say, because of all of the spiritual journey that Jenn is on, I should throw my app in her general direction.
I was seeing it a little when I first logged in, so it looks very intriguing.
It's available for Android and iOS.
Oh, cool. It's for Android now. Because years ago, I downloaded an app that you had made for iOS on my iPad, and that was pretty cool too. I'll have to take a look at it. That's really fun.
Wonderful.
And major update coming before the end of the year.
We hope.
I
We
was going to say, we heard the release timeline right here, folks.
No pressure. Calm. Just calm. That's
Calm. Sorry. That's you
Just
see,
breathe
I
in
have
the
this-
calm and
and breathe out the
breathe out the stress.
in with the blue,
completed
out with the
Asana
plaid.
tasks.
In with the blue, out with the plaid. Jenn, do you have anything else you'd like to add in for this episode?
Oh no, just I'm really excited to be back. So thanks for having me.
Yay.
Yay. All right, then. I think that ties things up for episode 0, our 20-minute episode that's probably running closer to an hour. And I think that just shows how much fun we have doing this. Our next episode will probably be in about 2 weeks. I say probably because we're pre-season right now, just recording these things, and we haven't quite hammered out when the season's going to debut yet. But once we do, the episodes will roll on a regular basis, and we're going to have lots of material. Again, always email us at podcast@kodeco.com if you have any ideas, comments, feedback, or just want me to decide whether I'm wearing glasses or not. Other than that, I want to thank Suzannah Gupta. I want to thank Jenn Bailey. And I could not do the show pretty much without either of them, so that's why they're here.
I wish we had time to play the entire interview, but if you'd like to see the interview with all the material, watch YouTube for the full video version.
And we will talk to you in the next episode. Thank you very much.